All that breaking news out of New Orleans, where just after 3 o'clock this afternoon, a grand jury handed up a 16-count indictment against Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill.
She's being accused of public intimidation against Mayor Helena Moreno and city council members for their pushback against an overhaul of the Orleans Parish court system. WWL Chief Investigator David Hammer joining us live with more details on all the action there at court today. David?
Yeah, good evening, Katie and Charisse. This 16-count indictment significantly ramps up the rhetoric that's really been boiling over for the last few months, starting with the move by the legislature led by Governor Landry to prevent Calvin Duncan from taking office after he was elected with 68% of the vote. Then it ramped up further when the Attorney General sent letters to the mayor and the district attorney and 5 council members and an interim clerk that they had named, Calvin Johnson, saying that they could be facing criminal charges if they continue to try to put somebody else into that position. And then we now have this criminal indictment against the Attorney General. Let's take a listen to Special Prosecutor, former Judge Lori White.
Aren't we a little tired as New Orleanians also having everyone in the state kicked in New Orleans? And why would we want people to be afraid to run for office if they're going to be intimidated?
But are you worried that now Attorney General Murrill could use the power of the state to come after you or other members of the local administration?
I worry every day about myself. How about you?
New Orleans goes and begs the state of Louisiana for money, hundreds of millions of dollars. They'll be back there in a couple of weeks. And this is sort of, as the governor said, the kangaroo court we expect here in the city. There are consequences for that. And so, you know, the bond, locking the press out, setting a $400,000 bond when we're not seeing that on armed robberies, you know, that certainly says what the motives are here. And I think the rest will speak for itself.
That's Special Assistant Attorney General Laura Canizaro-Rodriguez talking about the press being locked out of the court. And that's very important because it says here in the indictment that this was returned in open court on July 2nd, 2026. That did not happen. The press was prevented from being in the courtroom when the grand jury returned this indictment. And in fact, investigative producer Danny Monteverdi and our attorney representing us was trying to file an objection, Ilana Beiser, were detained and put in handcuffs. And I had a chance to talk to Ilana Beiser afterwards about that.
I think they partly maybe didn't believe that I was an attorney here to represent WWL because they had already arrested your colleague in his, you know, as a journalist who was trying to stay in a public space and find out what was going on. And because I was trying to stay near him as my client, they put me in handcuffs as well. And
explain what Article 383 of the Code of Criminal Procedure does.
Yeah, the Article 383 of the Code of Criminal Procedure explicitly states that a return on indictment by a grand jury shall be read in open court. So shall is mandatory language. It means that it must.
So here we are heading into an Independence Day weekend, and we were trying to cover an open court hearing, and Danny Monteverdi and Ilana Beiser were detained. They were not actually arrested. They were allowed to go free. But this is the kind of thing that we're dealing with in a very strange situation today. And we'll just have to continue to follow this because Attorney General Liz Murrill will have to turn herself in and meet a $400,000 bond in this case, and it will go through a regular criminal process. Reporting live from Orleans Parish Criminal Court, David Hammer, WWL, Louisiana.